I think I saw gun control, which typically that's what you see with a lot of Democrats. And and I think my concern about gun control is I was like, well, if you're gonna do gun control, we got to control everybody's guns, right? Can we make sure the criminals have the gun control too, right? Like I go to Europe, and the thing about Europe that I really like about that society is that ain't nobody got guns hardly. I mean, some people got guns. I mean, you have guns in Europe, but it's not like, like Chicago where, a 9-year-old can get a gun if he knows the right people. And so that's my only thing about gun controls is like if you can't control everybody's guns, then don't be trying to control mine, right? Like if everybody else got a gun, I want to have one too. But if no one has a gun, then I think gun control is a wonderful idea. How about that? So anyway, so that's my day, that's my life, and then there was something else another thing that he supports that I agree with is he wants to increase the minimum wage. One thing that I've talked to you guys about before is that America needs to pay its workers more money. America needs more unions. America needs to support working class people more, un unless they want like a complete revolution. Um, because right now you kind of have this massive growing gap between the rich and the poor. And I say this as a person who's on the good side of that gap. I'm not a poor person, but I think that if you want to protect rich people, then you need to do something for everybody. And that's where I sound like a socialist slash Marxist slash whatever is that I don't think that being a hardcore capitalist should lead you to conclude that it's okay for you to only care about yourself and care about nobody else, right? I think that if you are in that camp, if that's how you think, then you are going to end up losing everything because eventually all the poor people are going to get together and beat you up and take all your stuff. So, so again, I just reiterate this every blue moon. I have to reiterate this point to make sure it's clear. A lot of people think that I'm a capitalist because I'm a finance professor, and I just remember thinking, what is it? What is it about having a PhD in finance that makes you think I have to be a capitalist? Capitalism is a belief. It's kind of like almost like a economic religion. It's a political philosophy. I don't have to be a capitalist in order to value wealth. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. I don't have to be a capitalist to believe that money matters, right? I don't have to be a capitalist to believe that you should have a competitive society that has some degree of merit-based reward accumulation where hardworking people can get a little bit more than somebody who sat on their ass and didn't do nothing that day. Tell me if you agree with that. I think, honestly, I'm sorry. I date if you are lazy, if you are a bum and you don't want to get up and do nothing, I don't think you should get the same thing as the guy who got up at 5 a.m. and worked his ass off all day long. I just don't believe that. Right? And anybody who disagrees with me, I need to figure out which planet you came from because that ain't the planet I came from. I came from the planet of hard work. I came from the planet of preparation. I came from the planet of perseverance. I came from the planet of accountability. And I think that's okay, right? Like I think that we can have this balance in our society, and I think that we've lost that balance. I think that we've got to the point where somebody decided that it makes sense for Elon Musk to have the same amount of wealth as literally 300 or 400 billionaires. Like if you take 300 billionaires and stack them on top of each other, that forms one Elon Musk. And somebody thinks that that's okay. I don't think it is okay. I don't think you need to have the wealth of 300 or 400 billionaires in order. Sure, he's a hardworking guy. He's smart. I told you I'm an investor in Tesla stock, and I told you I don't apologize for none of that because I'm handling business for me, my family, and my community. Period. I ain't worried. I ain't getting caught up in Democrat Republican politics. I'm not I'm not going out in California and I'm not and standing in front of the ice trucks when they come by. When you ask me about ice, I'm gonna say, yeah, I like ice, but not too much of it because if you have too much ice, then it's gonna water down your drink. That's how anybody ask me questions about ice, that's what I say. I say, look, too much ice is bad for your drink, man. It'll just mess with and but ice, baby, do. Like that's I don't that's not, and it's no disrespect, right? It's no disrespect to anyone who feels differently. It's just to say that I can't go fight for someone else's issue before I go fight for my own people, right? I can't go and fight for people that I don't recall really significantly fighting for us. I don't really remember seeing a lot of people who are not African American at the reparations rally. I spoke at a reparations rally hosted by Tariq Nasheed in Washington, D.C. I had the honor of going on stage and I gave a speech. And I didn't see a lot of people, from other communities out there fighting to say African Americans in particular deserve reparations for slavery. I saw African American people fighting for African American people, and it doesn't mean you can't fight for other people, but you typically fight for other people after you have everything you need. Right, like it's okay for me to feed the kids down the street, but I gotta feed my own kids first. Can we at least agree on that? Right? Like it's okay for me to hook you up, hook that guy up down the block, but I gotta hook up my people first. I gotta make sure I can't leave my wife starving and then go feed another woman. You get slapped for that. And so basically, I think that common sense is really the politics that I believe in. I believe in things that make sense. And if you present an idea that doesn't make sense, I'm going to say I don't understand that. My brain's not able to process this because it sounds like you're parakeeting somebody's party line, and it's not adding up. It's not logical. So if you ever want to know my political opinion, and I was just thinking about this because meeting the governor of New Jersey today reminds me of why I don't like to get involved in politics. I just don't. I just don't believe the American political system is built to truly benefit in a significant way black people. And so they told me I was sitting at the governor's table, and I was like, okay, all right, okay, and he seems like a nice enough guy, and I don't know, but I don't want to be. I don't want to be, and I don't. In fact, actually, in this class, believe it or not, in this class, RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a friend. He's a friend of a friend, and she asked me if I wanted to bring him in, and I said, why? Why? Like, what would bringing him in do for black people? And so I just said no, not because I dislike the guy, but because I just didn't see the benefit of it. And the same thing would be true for Democrats. Now, one person I did bring in to speak with you guys was Dr. Cornel West. And so if you ask me why there, like the word why is really important. You have to know why you're doing things. Don't just do stuff just because somebody else told you to do it. Don't just do it because that's what your grandma did and that's what everybody else did. Do it because you literally thought it through and said, I think this actually makes sense. I think it's okay to have the courage to do that. So with Cornel West, if you say, well, why did you bring in Dr. Cornel West, but you wouldn't bring in RFK? I brought in Cornel West because I know the guy and I love the man. He's a good man. And he seems to be trying to do the right thing in his own perspective. Now he's more of a Marxist. I'm not a Marxist, um, but at the same time, I want to hear what he has to say, right? So I really think that when you talk about black people in politics and this wealth thing, I would encourage you to support ideas that truly genuinely make sense to you and avoid ideas that don't make no damn sense. That's the first step toward um, really achieving whatever it is we're trying to achieve and becoming whoever we're trying to become. Um, I don't know if black if white American politics has been all that conducive to black wealth. Now let me bring in a couple of quick points. I don't have a lot of time today because I actually have to go to this thing in Jersey where I'm speaking. It's actually the Black Expo. I want to be respectful, and it's hosted by the Black Chamber of Commerce, and it's in Trenton. And I don't know if their tickets are available and stuff like that, but you can Google it if you're in the area. All right, so one of the other things that I'm thinking about too is that when you're talking about what it takes for us to position ourselves to win long term, I will say this also right now. First off, I gotta mention this. I got congratulations to everybody who owns Oklo stock. I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday or not, but did anybody see what Oklo stock did this week? Did anybody see Oklo? Lord Jesus. Okay. And I know you're cheering because I know Oklo was purchased by a lot of you because I've talked about Oklo. I don't even know if I mentioned it yesterday. It don't matter. Even if I did mention it yesterday, let me talk about it again because I'm excited. I love it. I love it when we're right? Because sometimes you're wrong, right? And you can't, it's hard. You gotta admit when you're wrong, but But if that means if you're right, you should celebrate. So let me show y'all Oklo stock. We talked about Oklo. We were talking about Oklo for a long time. You guys remember we were talking about Oklo when it was $10 a share. And yesterday, Oklo just blew up, and I think it has to do with rumors that the president's going to sign something related to nuclear energy. And Oklo it got my attention because Sam Altman was involved, and he's the founder of OpenAI. And you can see here it went up 41% in the last 5 days. So this was pretty massive. I know my wife is going to give me extra kisses because I own a lot of this stock. And I mentioned this to you guys not as investing advice, but I told you all that I saw the stock and I liked it. And I know a lot of you took an interest in it. It's gone up 132% in the last 30 days. It's gone up 264% in the last 6 months, which means you 3x your investment. So the price is $66 a share now. You could have bought it, what, for about 18 bucks or something like that. And some of you did. Year to date, it's up 208%. The last year, it's up 560%. And we were talking about this stock back here. Like we were talking about it back when it was in the single digits, and to see it kind of rise like that is really exciting. It's really a big deal. Now, if you want to know what I did with my shares, first thing I do whenever the getting's good, first thing I do when times are good is I start storing nuts for the winter. First thing I do when times get good is I prepare for when times are going to get bad. When times go bad, I prepare for when times are going to get good because this too shall pass. If it's if it's something terrible, this too shall pass. Be patient. If it's something great, this too shall pass. Don't get too happy. Don't get too cocky. Don't engage in what Alan Greenspan, the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, used to refer to as irrational exuberance. Irrational exuberance is basically when you get hooked on that financial crack and you just literally become like a crazy drug addict where money is a drug, the dopamine starts popping, you get excited, you start thinking that you're like, oh my God, I made $2,000. I can flip this into $20,000. No, you can't. Stop it. Slow down. Hold on to your 2,000 before you start thinking about your 20. Hold on to your 20 before you start thinking about 100. Protect your investment. So what did I do? Number one, I started buying put options to prepare for what could be an overreaction in the stock price. The stock market is a notorious drama queen. Stocks do this. They will shoot through the roof and then suddenly they'll just collapse and go right back to normal. Number two, I sold a long-term out of the money call option. Now, if you don't know about what that means, you feel free to join us in options class. We're actually doing the next cohort of Coin, which is the Certified Options Investors Network. If you want to get certified in stock options, it's a fun class. It's 12 weeks. One membership is for your whole family. I think they still have space. So if you want to apply, go to drboycecoin.com, drboycecoin.com, and talk to someone about joining Coin. I know you're going to like it. But anyway, I sold the call option because I said, let me get in here while the getting's good. I'm deep in the gold mine. Let me go pull out some gold and then still be prepared in case the stock keeps going up. And this is where options can really be beneficial to you because it allows you to calibrate your position so you're not just sitting there vulnerable, or you don't just sell all your stock, or you don't just start buying more, assuming that it's going to keep going up. I've studied, and when I wrote my dissertation, I studied a lot of investing strategies that are what you call momentum strategies, and we studied a lot of what they call contrarian strategies. Contrarian strategies are when you think that what goes up comes down, what goes down comes up. Momentum means that you see something that's just charging ahead, and you assume it's going to keep charging ahead. I'm not assuming that this is going to keep going. I had a really wonderful day yesterday, and maybe call me a pessimist, but I do not assume that every day is going to be like this because I've seen too much to believe that. So what I would say to you is that if you were a beneficiary and you made this money, protect your investment somehow, either through put options or consider this. Just consider it, not investing advice, or sell some deep out of the money call options. Just whatever it is, like get something from it. That way you can make money from all the people that are now wanting to charge into the stock because they saw the price go up. If you did not participate, if you missed it, just know that there are other opportunities that are going to emerge in the future. This happens pretty somewhat regularly. You have to be in the game to be able to benefit from the game. So I would also encourage you, if you're not investing regularly, I hope that you'll do that because that's really, really important. The stock market is the proven number one undisputed heavyweight champion when it comes to wealth creation in America. There is no other area of the American economy that generates more wealth than the stock market. People who become the boss of companies, they make a lot of money. The CEO of Coca-Cola made like $50 million last year. Warren Buffett was not the CEO of Coca-Cola. He made $55 million from Coca-Cola last year just from his investments, right? So the boss makes good money. The investor in many cases makes more money than the boss. So don't just be the boss of a business, be an investor. And I said 50 million. Actually, the numbers might be 500 million. It might even be higher than that, but let's say 50 million because 500 million just sounds crazy. But the point of the matter is to say, invest, invest, invest so that you can be there when the party starts. I want you to be there when the money gets made. And so, anyway, the $5 a day plan that we talk about, where I want every family to just start investing whatever you can, wherever you stand, like Booker T used to talk about cast down your buckets. I'm talking about wherever you stand, open up that damn app, cast down your app, and open that brokerage account and get started investing. $5 a day plan pretty much will lead any family to the promised land of wealth within less than a decade. Within less than a decade, if you are consistent and consistently investing $5 a day, $150 a month, that is literally less than you would spend on $5 a day. You can't even buy a McDonald's value meal for that amount. So don't tell me you can't afford it because you can. That will literally get you ahead of most of the American population within less than a decade. We're talking about $20,000 to $29,000 based on the history of the market. In 2 decades, you now become one of the rich people, and that's when everybody will then swear that you never knew what it was like to struggle, and they're going to make fun of you and say that you don't understand how hard it is to be poor, and just all these other little fairy tales people make up to excuse the fact that a little bit of discipline goes a very long way when it comes to being successful. You cannot have success without sacrifice. You cannot get the win if you don't get it in. You understand? You will not get to the top if you're not willing to go scrape from the bottom a little bit. You can't get to heaven unless you're willing to put yourself through just a little bit of hell. This ain't even hot hell. This is like warm hell. This is not even like horrifically uncomfortable. I've seen people go through horrifically uncomfortable things. My father was in the Vietnam War and got pushed off an airplane at 17 years old and had to sleep in a ditch as he heard mortar fire going off in the background. That's a hot hell. That's a hot hell. He went through a hot hell so that his son does not have to go through a hot hell. My hell is a warm hell. A little bit of investing, a little bit of sacrifice, a little bit of discipline, a little bit of not following the crowd, a little bit of thinking about the future, a little bit of planning, a little bit of preparation goes a very long way. A little bit of consistency will get you there. This is not hard. So blackwealthmasterplan.com is where you can go. That's the phone ringing because that apparently is my ride to New Jersey. So I got to actually get out of here. But blackwealthmasterplan.com is where you can get the $5 a day plan. Also, if you go to drboycebooks.com, I created something called the Dr. Boyce cheat sheet on opening your first brokerage account. So if you go to drboycebooks.com, look up brokerage and you'll find it there. Another thing you can do is if you want to learn, go into options and options income and all the stuff we were talking about earlier, drboyceprime.com. Prime stands for passive recurring income machine. Those of you that are Prime members, I'm going to send you guys something in a little bit. But also, if you're not a member, feel free to go to Dr. Boyce Prime if you want to learn stock options. All right, have a good day, everybody. I got to go. I'll tell you what the governor of New Jersey was like. He seemed like one of those cool white dudes, like I said, kind of in the Bill Clinton-ish kind of thing. But I'll confirm that when I talk to him. But he's up for re-election, so you never know.